Our live. Happy Friday, family. What's
Hello,
going
happy
on?
Friday.
Friday. We have Mrs. Positivity driving the mobile Words Unite Bookstore van. She got a whole crew with her, ladies and gentlemen. A whole crew. And we
Also,
a whole crew. We are also joined by our special guest, Miss Kourtni Briscoe. But want to just say hey to everybody.
hello,
Hey,
hello,
hey, hey.
everyone. Yes, happy Friday.
Indeed. I'm really see this we talking about a mother's perspective. My mother and my sister is like, oh my God, please just like Ashley, be careful on that road. Like my nerves is my nerves, my
I am
nerves.
I am I am pulling over right now, but I just
Okay.
this is important and you gotta do what you gotta do. And I got like a 7-man production team. So to all the safety police, don't worry, we're gonna be safe. I'm like
Safety police.
almost to the side.
The safety police.
But we still have to have this conversation because it's important.
It's very important. And what's the timing? Here's the thing. I have done this probably 4 times already. I'm like, it's Mother's Day Sunday.
Wow, yeah, yeah.
Like I
Well,
keep forgetting.
I believe this entire half of the year is already gone by really fast. So
It
the fact that
has.
summer is pretty much here and all these holidays are kind of squeezing in there too is it's not helping.
It's not like somebody just press pause. Why don't you? Yeah,
Fact.
totally. Totally. Well, we are absolutely delighted. I'm really excited to talk to you. I know when Mrs. Positivity recommended you, she was like, yeah, we need to talk to Kourtni. I'm like, absolutely. Started looking into all the things that you do. I too am a homeschooling mom. So I was excited.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was
Yes,
just super excited.
I'm very thankful and appreciative for y'all inviting me on. It's like I said, I was excited, and then I was like, no, a lot of things changed in my life. I don't think I can do this anymore. And she persuade me otherwise, and made me feel like, no, you still have a purpose. You need to talk. So I was like, all right, I got it.
Because truthfully, I we had a scare this week as well, and it was tough. And the reality of it is, Mrs. Positivity and I have talked about this quite a bit. Things keep coming. They keep
Yeah,
coming. They
yeah.
keep coming. And it really is the testament of our faith, how we will keep going. So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. I'm glad you're here. I really am, dear. I'm glad you're here. Totally.
Inspiration and
So yes,
motivation.
for sure.
So.
I'm parked now, guys. So don't beat me up, okay? Don't beat me
Okay.
up. 'Cause I'm parked.
Long as you
But
parked, I'm
yeah,
like,
like like we just said, like we're in the month of May, and like I said, when I was talking to Kourtni this week, and like I was talking to you, Tiffany, I already had it in my heart when I talked to Kourtni a mother's type of conversation today, and we really want to hone in on what that looks like. I hope it's not breaking up because y'all look like y'all are freezing. Can y'all hear me?
we can
We're
hear
good.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, good. So yeah, I think we are like right in line with one, it being the first week of May already, and then it's the weekend of Mother's Day, and we got three phenomenal mothers on the line, and I've watched Kourtni, and I've told her many times sacrifices and the intention
Oh no.
No. She just
No.
like faded into the black hole. That was
Yes,
crazy.
right. Oh
Oh
no.
man. Because I wonder if she has a tether. Okay, so in line with that conversation about mothers, and Kourtni, this is what it is, man. You just have to, okay, I got to do something different. Give me a minute. I figure it out. That's what we do.
That and the sitting still part, I think I still am naive to that sometimes. I don't like sitting still. And when you're trying to rebuild and refocus things, it's like, okay, hold on. You want to be in a routine. You want to if, I think the easiest way for me to describe it is I'm glad that I journal because I can go back to see the progress and
Mm-hmm.
everything that I've done with my son, the accomplishments and how far he's advanced. But without that, I think it would have been even more challenging to be able to regroup and bring myself. Is she coming back online?
Yeah, let me see. There we go. Let's see. Okay, baby, back.
Look at her face. It's okay. We got this.
Okay, wait. Can you hear her?
Great.
There we go.
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Uh-oh.
No.
Oh, I wonder if she's trying to tether. But finish. I want you to finish your thought because it's juicy and I love it. About journaling and seeing the progress.
Yes. The record keeping aspect of homeschooling is something that I'm trying to be consistent with, and it is also combined, parallel to journaling, because you're able to look back and reflect. And then when you do have these moments where your life gets shaken up, you got to regroup and refocus. It's like, okay, it kind of alleviates the anxiety some. Mm-hmm. So I'm in that stage right now where things have shaken up for me. Mm-hmm. My son is also turning 6 next month. So now he's phasing into another level where emotions are changing. Right. The way the world is changing. And actually this past weekend, I reorganized some homeschool things and saw that I've been doing this since 2017. So since he was a year and a half. Right. And looking to see all that I've done was like, okay, we got this. He's good. I'm good. As long as we're doing something every day, when I'm able to step back into that routine and feel more, I guess, positive about it and stick my chest out like we got this. Yeah. I lost it. I'm sorry. This is it's going in and out and it's distracting me. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, because I think, just to your point, and as we were just talking about journaling and keeping up with the progress, because we are so oh no.
It's throwing me off.
I know. But I think, where I heard it was in terms of, keeping an account of it so that when those shakeups do happen, you have a reference, but also in knowing that, progress is a process, and you have to say to yourself, okay, you know what? I have been doing this a while, and I have to give myself grace because we have improved, and that is the overall goal. So I love that, that I love that. Baby's going to be 6. Like my youngest is 11. My oldest is 25.
Oh, and wow.
I'm still over here like, how can I be a better mom? It's like
that part always going through your head, and it's
always
our worst critic. And it's like,
I know.
Why do we do that to ourselves? And then also I'm a single parent. So then it's like, okay, am I providing the best? Am I doing the best? It's like, why do we continue to ask ourselves that, knowing we doing the best that we can, and we doing a great job at it. So the other thing with homeschooling, I'm sure you can attest to this, the challenge that we also have is being in a community where maybe homeschooling isn't the most popular. So then maybe a scenario happens where it reminds you your purpose and why you chose to homeschool your child, as well as coming across people who are homeschooling. And it's that little bit of inspiration that says, hey, I got this. They're doing it. We've been doing it. I'm going to continue this as long as I can.
Totally. I mean, the community, and this has been our focus for some time, actually, since we started Imagiread. Community is very important, and not just professionally, but personally to me. It's always going to be important. We need each other, but we need each other to be well. And that's the reality, right? Yeah. And so a community fosters that. The likelihood that everybody in the community is not well should be, we would want that to be the probability to be more than great. But that it can happen where everybody's in the community is not well, but the goal of the community is so that everybody is. So when you find those communities and you say, okay, this is new or this is different, it still serves. Like you said, you see with the pandemic, kids going back and forth. It was like, yeah, I just didn't want it. That would disrupt my remote working schedule, you know, and that would disrupt my, so this is the best solution for us because of the content, because of the structuring. Yeah, I get it. Oh, no.
The other part that you mentioned about there's so much growth in it for ourselves. Let's even take the homeschooling aspect of it, just the fact that we are having, you get to have the opportunity to be around your children and raise them and expose them to things, but the growth that you go through within yourself, that is another whole nother conversation.
It is. And this is where, when we talk about, wanting to be better and wanting to consistently improve, I think, I've always said this when we talk about, being entrepreneurs and so forth, one of my favorite quotes, and I'm paraphrasing, it's not the money, it's the person you become along the way, and that speaks to me on a regular basis, is because, you're improving and you're being challenged to do this consistently. So you need discipline, you need to be organized, and these are all character traits, it's not something you do, it's something you become. So doing that and having the children witness that, I just think it's like one of the most powerful things ever.
Easily influenced, especially when I cold-heartedly believe from the ages of them being, couple of months to 5 years old, it's that sponge phase. Yeah. And they pick up on everything, the good, the bad, the ugly that you have about yourself. And when you start seeing that reflection in your kids in areas that you don't like, you immediately, that's the best person that's going to tell you, hey, I don't like that in you. Totally. That means I need to fix myself. Totally. And if we're not comfortable with, what's the word I'm looking for? Admitting that, we're not perfect. We're not trying to be perfect, but we have these flaws. As long as we can admit to that and do better, that's what all that matters. And that's where I believe the record keeping and the journaling can come in to help when it comes to homeschooling and having those obstacles.
I totally agree. I mean, it's a whole nother level of self-awareness. And I love that you said it that way, because it's true. There are times where, I can't, and I shouldn't say can't, I couldn't, or something happened and my word, I ended up saying one thing, I promised him one thing, and then, we couldn't do it because of work or because of, whatever. And right. And then, I'll get on him, you got to keep your word. And he's like, well, wait a minute. You didn't keep your word last week. I'm like, first of all, I'm the adult, but even that, you start seeing how we're raising them, in this way to, okay, so do as I say, not as I do. It really is integrity. Really adult. Right. Yeah. So Ash, we've been talking about, being accountable, everything that's so you think you want to be, that is, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching, you're tuning in live, or you're watching the replay on Facebook and or YouTube, then you know that so you think you want to be, that is really about showing up authentically and on purpose. It's how we do that, how we consistently improve and become who we are supposed to do. So we were just talking about how homeschooling and that discipline and self-awareness just really, really takes you to another level. She joined it. Wait a minute, we got 2 Miss Positivities.
I think this one's gonna work better.
You sound better too. The clarity in your voice is clear.
Yeah, it's much better.
Thank you. I'm so sorry, ladies. Listen, this technology was not working for me today.
Would you like me to hold the phone?
Yes, please.
Is it? Yeah, because I'm thinking she got the whole register. I can't.
Girl, did you see that? Don't look over there.
We totally
by any means necessary.
No, for real. That's why I'm laughing. That's why I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at you, boo. I'm laughing. I'm laughing with you. That hustle ain't no joke, man. Put that register over there. Give me a minute.
Right, like whichever one's gonna work. And then my phone had died like midday today, so I haven't even had a phone like midday today. Ain't no telling how many phone calls I've missed.
No, seriously. So then let's see what she just did there. So we're gonna go back to the initial conversation of always consistently being in this loop of not being able to sit down, of always hustling, of always wanting to improve.
Make me want to take a deep breath.
Totally. That's what he was talking about. And Mrs. Positivity is one, there are days that I just can't do anymore. And I'm like, okay, let me go and check Instagram. And I see her on there doing something. I'm like, when does this chick sleep?
Yeah, that part. Doing nothing is something.
It is.
I'm learning that. I'm learning that. But this weekend is really going to be a fun weekend. Yes, we're working. We have a pop-up tomorrow, but I have my whole family and my crew. Say hello, crew.
Hello. Hey.
And so, you know, I have my right hand, Lauren, and then I have my kids here with me. And like I was trying to say earlier, I really feel like it was divine for Kourtni to be on here today, because when I wanted her to come, it was primarily because of that motherhood intentional action that she has to be sure that she does everything she does for Elijah, which she has a son. I don't know if she said that earlier. But she has a son, and she intentionally makes efforts to advance his learning and to spend time with him and show him quality time, to like togetherness with him and her, and that's what you gotta make those kind of moments. And so I always tell my kids, you know, you gotta like appreciate and live in the moments that matter. And I think that's what it's all about. And I think that's what this season is about, is because we got to really appreciate each and every moment, and every moment doesn't have to be work. I know growing up, I was raised by a single mother, and then also raised by my grandma, and having them work 1-2 jobs, we were raising ourselves. And I know probably y'all had that same conversation, right?
Yeah.
You know, we got to have that time where we get to actually influence them, and how are we navigating through everything that we have to do to influence our kids?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I love that we at work, we talk about that all the time, how our parents, you know, for whatever reason, and there's a lot of buzzwords and a lot of mental health awareness now more than anything when you talk about parenting. And just as Kourtni, you know, said a little bit ago, you know, parents are people. You know, we are all doing the best that we can do. But I will say that I believe that we, as a generation, are, oh, bless you, that we are much more aware, if you will. We are much more aware that we have choices that can improve the quality of life for ourselves and our children. And I think that's one of the differences. You know, I don't, you know, hold anything against my mom. Like, again, she did the best she could do. Right.
Right.
And it helped me to see, like you said, okay, so yeah, I did at many times feel like I was raising myself, but I now I know I don't want my children to feel that way, you know? So yeah, I got to do X, Y, and Z. And yes, it's just me, but you know, it is what it is. Like, you love your children, so you do what you feasibly can while maintaining balance. And that's the only thing that I have here recently really been digging deep into is I get it, but it's making sure that we are okay. And that's why these conversations are so rich, because they're sister-like. And it's just, yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about, you know, what we are doing, what we're not doing for ourselves, you know, what we want to do and how we can get there together. Because again, community is key. You need community. It's like you got the whole crew in the car. You need community, you know, like can't do nothing without it. So I'm excited about the rest of the conversation. Kourtni was just talking about how, you know, they've been in it for 5 years, homeschooling, and how it's just been a roller coaster, like learning all kinds of things. I'm excited to hear a little bit more about that.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, Ash, did you have a question?
Yeah, so I was gonna ask for you to share some of the different things that you implement, even if kids are going to school. Tell them how you still implement, you know, that quality teaching from the parent.
So let me work that answer backwards. So actually being in school right now, I think Ashley knows about this story. So last year I attempted to put my son in kindergarten, thinking, because I was in school myself, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna send him to kindergarten. He'll be fine. Maybe this homeschooling thing is maybe I shouldn't be doing this. He was in kindergarten all of a week. I said, no, this is not it. I knew instantly this is not for us. Now, there wasn't anything wrong with the school, wasn't anything wrong with the teacher, but I didn't like the system in place. I didn't like I wasn't as involved as I was homeschooling. I want to see work. I want to see you coming home with work. I want to know, how were you today? And I don't want a biased opinion either. And been given an answer of, oh, well, your child, I can tell your child's been homeschooled. I don't want to hear any of those comments, because I kind of feel like there's some judgment there. Every child is different. And when you put them in a public school setting, the exposure is not going to be the same as being homeschooled. So to answer the question about if a child is in school, how was I implementing? I didn't see me able to implement anything that I used to do with him, because by the time he got home from school, just looking at my child, they took taking a nap out of kindergarten. So by the time he got out of school, he looked like a little zombie. He was just like, I'm exhausted. So they get out of school, say about 3. You may have 4, 5, 6, 7, 4 or 5 hours with them before you got to get them ready for bed. I'm not going to now force upon my child more schoolwork, and nor was I going to implement it on the weekend. So that's when I made the decision, no, we're going back to homeschooling. So some of the things that I do, I have a couple of favorite stores and websites that I like to go to, but everything at his age right now, from 1.5 years till 5, it's play-based. And it's just exposure to, hey, we're going to go to a children's museum, and we may travel to Austin, to Houston, to McKenna, and New Braunfels. I'm constantly researching, and I have to make sure that I'm very resourceful, and I'm constantly, so for Facebook specifically, the only reason I still have my account open is to be a part of the homeschool groups. And I'm able to go in there and read through comments to see recommendations from other parents. What are they, showing, exposing their child to? What resources are they using? If it's a DVD, if it's a website, if it's an event that's coming up. I'm constantly researching and adding to my resources for my child.
Nice. I love that. Especially how you knew very, very early. I think one of the things as an out of school time professional that plagues me is some of that same performance fatigue with our children, the expectation that they, are consistently performing. Yes, and that for me, I mean, the research is there, the data is there. That is not an indicator of strengths. When we're looking at the standard, right? So it's like, yeah, it should be play-based. And it is, a social experience. Kindergarten, that's all you should be doing is playing, like truthfully. But you should also rest and that exercise, healthy food. So there is a whole circle to look at when we're talking about the in-school experience, that the homeschool experience could just paint very differently. So I love that you knew right away, like, nope. I totally believe that had I been in a position to work remotely, we would have done it from preschool on as well. But it was just, I have to work. What am I going to do?
And that's not, and right now that's not an area that I can speak for people, if someone's working 9 to 5, or even if they are able to work from home, how can they implement homeschooling? All I can say is you have to do what works best for you. And as long as within the state of Texas, you are following those homeschool laws, it's possible for you to be able to homeschool, but it's not, it's definitely not easy. I don't want anyone to get this impression that, I can homeschool and think that it's easy. Nothing about this is easy.
Yeah, for real.
But the rewards that come with it, and when you see how your child progresses and if they're advanced, maybe they're in kindergarten, but maybe on a first grade level and so forth, it's worth it.
Yeah.
And you get that memory to have now with your children. Like, I got to spend time with you, and I was actively involved, maybe to catch, when it comes to mental health, the emotional areas that they're not going to focus on in school. If anything, they're going to label the child with ADHD, or they have this type of mental disorder, and they really don't. It's just that teacher does not have time, like a parent would, to have that one-on-one.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is dangerous, It's dangerous.
Yeah, and the redirecting, like, that's why I think it's very, very important for us to try to have that one-on-one, because sometimes you just need that extra time for them to understand some certain things, and then you to understand them. And when the teachers don't really get to know them until like maybe the end of the school year, you get a clue of how the student operates. They've already been struggling for so long for the first part of the year. And so as parents, we got to really like tie into and be vigilant to what it is that you see your child doing as well.
I think to add to that, what Ashley just said, another reason I was like, this public school thing wasn't going to work for us. I feel like homeschooling too puts that power back into the parents, because now
totally.
you're responsible. It's if you your child is a reflection of you. But the kicker is that, like I said, if a child is in school, and as Ashley said, it's going to take a year for that teacher to actually get to know that child. Well, a parent know their child better than anybody else. So what a teacher may say is bad behavior, maybe from the parent is, well, no, did you listen to the child? Did you have more patience? Did you ask these certain questions? Did you speak to me before you write the child up and send them to, principal's office or however the disciplinary is with that? So I think homeschooling also pushes that pressure back onto the parents, but also makes them more powerful to be involved.
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, it is empowering for sure. Go ahead, Ash. What were we going to say about?
Yeah, I mean, it's that one-on-one, it's that time. And then I always hear the concept like they're not going to be socially connected. Well, what Kourtni does is really get them in environments where they are connecting with other people, not just connecting with kids, but connecting with families, connecting with adults, And so I want people to understand that homeschooling doesn't just mean homeschool with you and your family. That means, like she said, you can go to a museum, you can go out of the city, you can go to different places, and you can intermingle them with other groups. There's so much technology. My kid just said it earlier. When I get older, I'm gonna tell my kid, way back then I didn't have to do such and such. For us, we really are going to be able to have that conversation because technology continuously is advancing, and because of that, now homeschool looks totally different than what homeschool looked like when we were younger. And so there's, like she said, there's groups that you can intermingle those homeschool families together, so the socialization portion can happen, and they can make those connections. So I think we don't need to like cop out and say, well, my kid's not going to have this, my kid's not going to have this. Your kid specifically has its own way of learning, and you got to figure out if that's going to fit in the homeschool arena or in the public school arena. And even if they do just a little bit here and a little bit there, you got to figure that out for their total development.
You do.
That is it's learning your child's, it's the learning style. And one of the things doing all the research, we all learn differently. You may have visual, auditory, and hands-on. And with what I do with my son, I incorporate all three, because even though he may be the best at hands-on, being exposed to auditory or visual will still keep him able to grasp the information that I'm teaching him, and not just relying on one style of learning. Also, with what Ashley mentioned, the groups. So one of the things that has been a struggle for me out here in Central Texas, there is lack of diversity. And it is, if you're stepping into homeschooling territory, you will have to kind of decipher through the type of co-op groups you want to be a part of. But like she said, homeschooling, a lot of people, especially in the older generation, have this idea that homeschooling means, oh, you're just going to stay at home and you're not going to have any socialization skills. No, you have park days, you, like I said, the museum. But within those co-op groups, there's also different activities that you can sign your child up for. And you may even, if it's not the group that you want to be a part of, you may find other parents that are like-minded like you. The kids get along, the parents get along. And now you've made that connection, and now y'all can make plans to do things outside of that group.
Yeah, I love that. I love that a lot. I hate that there, the diversity, because that can always be improved, in my opinion. But I do love the scheduling, and this is something that I know we're going to dive deeper into next year, because the last couple of years have just been, I mean, with work, it's just been, there's nothing, there have been nothing consistent for me. So it's really hard for me to keep consistency with him. But in this next school year, I'm just saying no, like, no, I'm not gonna be able to do that. Like, I'm just not, because it's not sustainable. I also loved the concept of the socialization with other activities, because when you said it, Ash, I started thinking like, oh, that's pretty cool. Maybe, baby boy does something, virtually on, on a different day, and then you do the park and you do the museum. I really, really like that. But then what I really heard that I enjoyed was, and it's fleeting, and I'm like, okay, come back. We were talking about,
because there's so many rabbit holes to this.
it is, because it's never ending. Truthfully, when you're talking about improving, it's again a process to progress.
Education is a lifelong journey, in my opinion. So it's so many things that you can learn. But don't look. Let's get it right. Bring it back, Miss Tiffany. Bring it back.
I'm like fish. I got my fishing reel. I think it's gone. I think I got a tire. Oh no!
You lost it.
Oh, no,
it'll come back. But
we're talking about extracurricular activities, the group,
yes, and how much learning styles. So the learning styles, and the exposure to all of those, and this is why I couple that with the community and having the park days and the diversity. When we think of the future of education and the future of work, it is empirical. Like we have to have all kinds of skills. Our children need to be exposed to all kinds of skills. As we know, it's like Ashley's baby girl said, back in the day, if we are not in the midst of training, and I hate to even use that word for a child, but raising them to be multifaceted, to be able to solve complex problems, to be able to do more than one thing. Now it's different from us. Now we hustle. That's a whole nother, but to do it in a way that makes sense, that is organized, that's the future of work. And unfortunately, this is the conversation that I've had a lot with schools and out of school time programs. It's those children who are struggling to read at a basic fundamental level will most likely not have those power skills, or they've been exposed to a multitude of learning styles for whatever reason, the labeling, medication, poor diet, lack of exercise, what have you. But we have to do better with exposing our children to a multitude of content that's not overwhelming, but gives them an understanding of, oh, this is the future. Like, I learn on a computer, or I learn here and I do this and I do that. I adapt. We do have to do a good job of like really honing in on that through instruction. I think we have to do a really good job. Uh-oh, baby.
Yeah, that's
you calling.
No, I want to show you. I have a prop. So me being resourceful. Let me tell you where I got this from. Sam's. You would be surprised, even the dollar store, Walmart, HEB. There's so much that you can involve your children with in a resource. So speaking of all those different ways of learning, there's this kit called VR Universe. And this one is based on space. Inside of this thing, they learn, they get to wear VR headsets, and it's the AR, augmented reality, and virtual reality. Mm-hmm. So they get to, my son will be able to touch the planets. Also inside of that kit, it came with a hands-on, like you can make clay and make the Earth's core. And now they're getting the hands-on experience to learn about space. Then you have the reading aspect, you have the audio aspect of it. My point of saying that is, I do agree, to tap on what you said, Ms. Tiffany, is that it is important to expose them to the different styles of learning. And even though they may have one that they're better at or they enjoy more, being exposed to it and know how to maneuver through it will help them, as you said, as they get older. And when they start stepping into the working environment, they can adapt to their environment.
Totally. Because life is learning. Like, that's all we're here on this planet to do. I've been looking for other things to do. There's nothing else to do. Like, we're here to learn. So in teaching how to learn, not what to learn, how to learn. Like that
Mm-hmm.
is fundamental, right? So if I give you manipulatives and I show you that there's always an opportunity to dream, imagine, create, right? To touch something, feel something, make something real. Yeah, you really are the master of your, your destiny, but you do it through these educational experiences. And I just think it's so, I love it. I mean, the whole time you were showing it, I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, Sam's Club need to give us some free. They just got a plug. And
Girl,
Right.
and number two, I just got a Sam's Club membership, so I'm about to be looking for that. So
but they have different. Like this one was we did space last year.
It needs more batteries.
Okay.
it needs more batteries. He said you need some batteries for that.
He's occupied.
Yeah.
But they have different, like this is space. They have a cooking one. The only downfall I would say financially, if you want to save money, this is like a company maybe in the future I'll contact and be like, hey, send me one or let me use one goggles and then send me all the packages with it. Because every time you buy this package, if it's cooking, if it's space, if it's animals, whatever, you're getting a new VR headset. That's the only downfall for it. So to be cost effective, is there a way to just purchase the material minus the VR headset? So that's another, I guess, topic when it comes to homeschooling. Financially, you can make it as inexpensive or expensive as you want. But it's not cheap. But if you want to go on more of the inexpensive and free side, that is going to, the expectation is going to be for you to research a bit more. And that is time consuming.
Yeah.
They're one of my favorite websites that I love to use for teaching materials is Teachers Pay Teachers.
Yeah.
They have stuff free. They have stuff as low as $4 on there. But then you have to, of course, calculate how much printing is going to cost. Do you have a company? Do you have your own printer? So there are some things that you have to look at if you step into this world, but it's not easy. I can't say that enough. But it's worth it.
Totally. I love that. So yeah, let's get on the horn with them. Like, yo, I don't need all these headsets, but it could be, maybe in community that again, to make it a little bit more economical for someone else, you say, hey, I already have this. So you know what? I can let you have this one for, $20 or something. Yeah. Which could benefit, but I feel you with that. I'm going to have to tell the youngest is a science kid. So he would love that. So we're going to look out for it, but I love that because that is yet another facet to it. It can get pricey. When you think I send you to school, they have all that stuff, right? You still have to, supply supplies, but they have all that stuff, right? You get books, but yeah, homeschooling is different because typically, not all the time, but the parent wants to expand on that knowledge base using those manipulatives, having projects-based learning. So of course you have to buy materials, you need this, you need that. And yeah, the dollar store can be good. I've seen a lot of videos where people are like MacGyvering like all kinds of homeschool kits at the dollar store. It's like, wow. But sometimes maybe the quality or something is not there. You have to think of that.
You have to decipher that. Correct.
You do. So I love that. I absolutely love that. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Curriculum. That is another aspect. So for instance, what made me like officially say, hey, I'm doing this homeschooling thing. When I started this when my son was 1.5 years, I went to a homeschool convention. A lot of people are not aware of homeschool conventions.
They have them in Texas.
There's one that Texas Homeschool Coalition puts on. That one actually will be taking place the first week of June. And then there's another one that's bigger than that called the Greater Homeschool Convention. And that one will be in July at the Kalahari Resorts. Well, when I went to that convention, I was overwhelmed, but in a good way. This was in 2017 when I went. They were already talking about high school being online. So I can only imagine the programs and all the information that's going to be out there this year when I go. But to go back to the curriculum aspect, some parents want curriculum where they just have to buy it, and then some of them want to create their own. So for me, I've learned I wanted to create my own, and I may save some money, but at the end of the year, it may add up to what a package is already put together for you may cost, because curriculums are not cheap, but you'll find the pros and cons of having that curriculum already made for you. Or if you have the patience and you are resourceful, you can create your own curriculum and just use the Texas homeschool laws and look at where the level that the child's supposed to be on. So say for kindergarten, you can look to see what the child is supposed to be learning in kindergarten and go off of that, creating your own curriculum and adding those props with that.
I love that, because it really is, you get to customize it.
Yes.
But like you said, there's still a quality, assurance that needs to happen. Like, okay, I'm going to piece this and piece that. And I love that you said 2017, because this has been coming for a while. Like, this is the future of education and the future of work. Like, it just so happened that the pandemic just, right? It's like, oh, okay. So now we're really in this, and the data is out there from, remote working, homeschooling. This is a thing that's always been a thing. So now it's shifting, and, the public school system has always been crap. That's not new. It's just not.
You know what? I stopped saying, I stopped degrading other systems. I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but that's easy for us to say. And the reason why I say that is because each public, if it's private, whatever these title of the schools are, it's catered for different people. You know what I'm saying? It's different categories.
Totally.
So public school is a great choice if you have a parent who really doesn't want to actively be as involved as a homeschool parent would be, or if their schedule or their financial situation does not allow them to homeschool, then that public school is an opportunity for their child to at least get some type of education. Now, I do agree anything can be better, but unfortunately, we focus on something trying to be better when the reality of it is nothing has changed. You only have those bits and pieces. You're lucky, but nothing has changed.
So, I want to say, okay, Ash, Kourtni's so diplomatic. I love that. I say it's crap.
Sorry.
No, I say it's crap from the perspective of, again, working in and through and understanding, the lack of fidelity. So you're right. Everybody gets an option, but at the core, when we're talking about creating something that is dynamic for a variety of people, it's always been crap. There's no fidelity there. Absolutely not. So, while it may be convenient for one person or one kind of person, it's not this inclusive, it can be great for everybody. And that's always been my thing, So, I just wanted to clarify the use of the word crap.
I guess because you get people who are, people talk bad about homeschooling,
Yeah, for real.
It's like, no, don't do that. Again, it's not saying that's what you were doing, but I always clear that up with people, like, no, don't do that. Just everybody's situation is different.
It's different, totally.
But one thing you cannot go into is if you have all these options of education for your child, you can't ever go back and say you didn't know. You just chose to choose this path, and you got to stand in that ground, and also stand in the ground of knowing people are going to criticize you regardless.
Yeah, that's real talk, Kourtni. Oh my God, this conversation. And we only got 17 minutes left, Ash. Okay, I know you got another question in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say we just got to be proactive. I mean, that's the bottom line, and I really hope everybody that's listening, don't beat yourself up.
Right.
Let go of the guilt. Me and Kourtni talked about that the other day. Like, we cannot guilt ourselves into building them up in the way that we think. We can only influence them. Hey, Elijah.
You can wait.
Hey, sir. I was like, he's gonna run away now. That's exactly what he like to do. Run away now. Don't run away. I see you.
Come on. No.
But I mean, being proactive and not being guilty about every little thing, especially the disappointments. Our kids are gonna make mistakes, but I mean, being proactive and influencing them in as many lanes. Like, I tell my kids to use their resources, and so everything that I've taught them from every level, When they wanted to get too much candy, like I was like, this kid can't read, so if I make them spell candy, they ain't gonna get a lot of candy because they can't spell it yet. And so that gave me about a week till these kids get too smart, and then they learn how to spell candy quick so they can get their candy. But I mean, it's just you gotta make them reach. Some people just hold their hand out and then they get it. But are you making them reach? Are you having them reach a little bit further and go a little bit further? And so I want you to give the people like some encouragement of, that we got to give ourselves a break, but allow your kids to grow in their own space.
I said it. I think you were still trying to connect it earlier when I mentioned this, but as I told Miss Tiffany, it's the different phases, and so two things. So I believe education should be a lifelong journey, and if we can, as adults, make it fun and exciting, that makes the journey even more tolerable, I guess, when it does come to these challenges and obstacles. But as far as our children, and I guess even we can relate it to an adult, we all go through different phases. So it's just really listening to your child and seeing what their interests are.
Right.
It is also tapping into ourselves as a parent and making sure we are putting our best foot forward. We are exposing them to different things. And even checking in with ourselves and making sure we aren't over criticizing ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We're not beating ourselves up if something didn't go this way today, or they're not on track the way we want them to be. Or if we see that we're having a struggle within ourselves. The only advice I guess I could give when it comes to those phases, they're going to come at you unexpectedly. Is one day you're going to wake up and it's going to be like, hold up, we were just learning about science, doctors or something, and now you want to learn about cars, and okay, so now I got to switch my entire theme up, or the entire curriculum up. It goes back to journaling and record keeping. I can't stress
record keeping.
Yes, and it, although in the state
of
Texas,
this day. That's what I say in my house. In my house, I say on this day, such and such and such and such happened.
Yep.
And in the state of Texas, although the record keeping is a little bit more lenient, if you can start that even at a young age with the kids and also journaling, you can go back and reflect on that and see all the good that you've done, the progress that your child's made, maybe the areas that need to be worked on. And I guarantee as you start focusing on those things that, okay, say if they need more help with math, with addition or something, as long as you're implementing something at least every day, you're going to see the progress. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to be easy as far as implementing those new math problems. But going back to that journal and that record keeping will allow you to help the transition when you go through the phases, whether it's within ourselves, if it's with the children, if it's even with the curriculum for homeschooling.
I love that.
Yes, girl, I love it.
I love that. I mean, because what you just spoke to is, and Mrs. Positivity started this off. We talked about fostering, because learning is lifelong. Academic integrity, that is the key. And this is what, again, to just clarify my word crap, because there's very little room to foster that academic integrity early. You got to think there's a lot of testing, there's a lot of standardizing, there's a lot of comparison, there's a lot of, not as much differentiated learning. So fostering academic integrity, why learning is important, how learning is relative to life every day, is almost it's almost more important than the learning itself, because shortcuts, cheating, not getting it done, those things happen, right? Homework, all of these things that kids are like, oh my God, I'm just over it. But if we start with the big why, sweetheart, listen, you're not going to be able to do too much if you don't learn about these things. And these things, again, take time. I think that is so important, if not more so than the act of learning itself. So I love that you're like that record keeping, because you're talking to me. I'm right now looking for an assistant. Like, yeah, I need, can somebody come do my record keeping? Even my personal record keeping.
and that is just as time consuming as the researching aspect of it. It is. Whether you typing it up or you handwriting it in, if you got something pretty where you found an organization, an organized template or something, either way, putting that in there. If you don't do it every day, at least try to do it at the end of every week.
The week, yeah.
At least. And I even have so something else that I incorporated just for, in case you ever get audited with, homeschooling or something, I have a little printer. It's a Canon Iv Printer. And it allows me to take pictures that I took of my son if he's doing a science project, or we were making lemonade, learning about home economics or something. I can take those pictures and print them off, and I can add that to the record keeping as well. And then also, if you think about it, at the end of the year, you can also create a scrapbook of that.
Totally. I love that.
The memories.
Yeah. Or have them do it. Like, you remember this? You have that? Yeah, that is phenomenal. Oh my gosh. When I tell you, I think, Mrs. Positivity, I think this, now we've had some phenomenal guests. Don't get me wrong. We've had some phenomenal guests, but I think this conversation is by far my favorite. Not saying anything about
I know. Hey, thank you.
This was so awesome. And I'm sitting here thinking like, yeah, this is all of what So You Think You Want to Be That, totally means. And this is why I'm so grateful for my co-host, Mrs. Positivity. She done pulled over. We didn't got a whole signal for
do what we gotta do.
We do. And thank you is her name Lauren? I don't want to mispronounce her name.
Hi.
Lauren, thank you so much, sweetheart, for being there and helping us get it together.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. And the girls back there too, like, oh my God, are we ever gonna get what we got?
One of them's already passed out.
See,
they were trying to give up in 5 minutes. They were like, "Is this important? Like, can we just do it another time?" I was like, "Are we gonna have patience, or are we gonna quit in 5 seconds?" They're like, "We're quitting in 5 seconds." I was like, "No, that's not the right attitude."
You see what I'm saying? Academic integrity. No, we got to finish this. We got to figure out a way, and we have to figure out a way because it's important. They just don't, because they live in this fast virtual world.
Right. Now.
They don't see it. Right. They have no connection to analog. So this was just phenomenal. This was phenomenal. I can't say enough, Miss Kourtni. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh my gosh.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, like I said, it's a bunch of rabbit holes to this. It's a conversation I think that could be talked about for hours. One of the other things I would say, I guess to end it with, is anybody, whether public school, homeschooling, don't parent bash or shame bash anybody for decision, because you would be surprised. People are so judgmental in whatever decision you do with your child. And it's like, this world already has enough bad stuff going on. And to add that, especially as women, let's not do that. You can try to uplift as much as you can and be supportive. If you see maybe a child is struggling, okay, well, bring it to that parent's attention see the problem, give them a solution, but don't be judgmental about it.
Well, here's the thing, and this is what I say, and this is why literacy, as both a cultural communications consultant and a literacy development advocate, what I say is those who judge, and some people just really are wired that way. I get it. But it also comes back to personal experience. So just like you're saying, hey, don't bash, don't judge. I am learning more and more in my 45 years that most people just don't know how to do that, Kourtni. They don't know how to do anything other than judge, because it's easy to stand over here and have an opinion of you and what you aren't doing. There's no work involved. Whereas
and it's not checking in with themselves.
Do you understand? So we're talking about emotional intelligence. We're talking about a lot of other empirical skills that, so I love the fact that you're like appealing. Listen, don't judge. I've done it too. But the reality of it is some people just aren't going to do it. But if you are aware, like we talked about, you're self-aware and you catch yourself judging, because I have a real problem with adults who judge kids. Like, I'd be ready to fight them. Like, are you child? So
I'll throw down.
No, for real, like, like that is a child. What are you doing? But I realize that again, we are all living through this lens of perception, and perception and perspective, they vary depending on personal experience. So it's okay. Well, it's always been this way for me, and I'm, this, so I get to make that opinion. And it would be a much better world if we didn't do that to each other. But when we can catch ourselves, for sure, we, being more aware of it, like, don't judge. Like, we don't know what's going on in that household. Teachers too. There's some teachers that I just want to be like, oh my God, she's awful. But I realize that she's human first. We're all human first.
We're all human first.
Seriously, before we're women and before we're black and white and all this other stuff, we're human.
Amen.
So it's a conversation to say, okay, let's all be more aware that we are all human and we're all doing the best that we can, and we all get to pick and choose. That's what makes us human. Yes. And we do the best that we can when we do. But I love you for saying that, because I get it. You get some booze and you get some, but your child, and it's like, but that's a child.
And it's from and that's from somebody else's perspective that and even as a professional, just because you got a professional behind it, that doesn't mean that it's right.
You probably got C's all your life. Go sit down. Yeah. I'm just saying, you average, but you get to call yourself a professional. I'm just saying. You know how it goes. So it's, again, that conversation of creating what we want to see, what would, help us to improve every day. And that's what we're doing. And I'm so glad we're able to do it for our children. Seriously, I'm extremely grateful to have this conversation today. Absolutely.
Yeah. So happy Mother's Day, both of you.
Mother's Day to y'all, yes.
Totally. Wait, say it again.
I said happy Mother's Day to us.
Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. So wait, last question before we go. Kourtni, are you writing a book?
Dang.
How'd you know that? I didn't tell her nothing.
No, she didn't. And what? Again,
really? That's got to be a confirmation. And so, they say move in silence. So I did talk to Ashley about some things, and where I've shifted my life to. I'm kind of stepping away from the social media aspect, like I said, unless I can go into maybe some animation and talk about homeschooling some way or another. But a book I think would be great. I have enough content because I've been doing it for 5 years where I can at least guide people into, this is what I did with my child from 1.5 years to 5 years old, and give them pointers and some motivation for that. I would love to write a book on that, or even have a conversation with parents, and let them know, hey, this is what I did. What are you doing? I have experience, and I definitely recommend anybody that's thinking about homeschooling, go to a homeschooling convention, because you will be surprised that world has a lot of information and resources out there and help that is going to give you a totally different perspective on education.
I love it. I didn't know. And yes, it's a confirmation. I say do it. I've been saying this, 2024, we have a Black woman who's heading the Library of Congress right now. Her seat will be up in 2024. So I'm encouraging everybody. I don't care what you think, write a book. Write a book.
I'm working on it.
Put it on that truck, that van that Ashley's driving.
I was going to actually give me a deadline. So
very good. I'm so happy to hear it, because, again, we all have a story. We all are stories. And so we exchange those. And again, we leave the blueprint for those who come behind us who are like, how did they do this? Yes. Like the girls were saying back in the day. So I love it. This was awesome. This has totally made my Friday.
Thank you, ladies. So y'all enjoy your weekend. And thank you, everybody who tuned in. And if you're a mother, happy Mother's Day to all of you ladies who've been tuning in today.
Yes, indeedy.
All right.